even know. I don't even know. But take that taglines. I don't know. Is that how you say it? No?
I don't know.
Okay. Close enough.
We're
Close
trying to be
enough.
like Rick and Morty right now. And it's like, hey, this is a new thing.
Hey, morning. I can't even do a good one. So anyway, our episode today is on the subject of...
There's no
what?
sound.
No? Oh my
Toku
God, no
is saying
sound?
there's no sound.
You told me that there was audio. There's audio?
Wait, Toku, can you hear
boy.
us? No sound.
Toku says no sound and
And
on
then-
framing.
Therese also says no sound.
No, there's no background there. So it's... Yeah.
What?
Hey
you
guys.
can hear us?
Test 1 2 1 2.
Wait, can you guys hear us? Because there's 2 people saying that they cannot hear us.
Yeah.
Can I hear you guys?
I don't know. Can you guys hear
Okay,
us?
never
Check
mind.
that
I
1 2 1
guess
2.
you can hear us, guys.
User error.
Oh, was it
No, but there-
Toku?
Oh, it's on now.
Oh, it's on
So
now?
Whitney says it's on
Okay.
now because we had 2 people saying there was no sound. But
Yeah.
okay, we are here.
Yeah,
on
we're-
Quest for Player 2.
That's right.
We're so happy that you could join us on this Tuesday night. I feel like it's always been so long because this is one of my favorite shows to
It
do.
is. It has been because you were busy last week. You were on assignment and everything, so it was like I don't even know. You weren't here. Joe was here. I was like,
Yeah,
eh.
for like the last 2 Sundays, I haven't been here.
That's true.
But also, we're saying the framing's kind of weird. Or are we good? Are we good?
Are we
That's on
good?
Josh. I didn't
Oh.
do it. I said
I,
that.
it looks good to us. Like,
Do we have to move?
Good?
Is that
Do we have
like
to move
this?
like,
We
like
did
this?
say that earlier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we good? Yeah.
Framing look good?
Framing good?
Cute. All
All
right.
right, perfect. All right.
You have to
Like the weird
thing.
adjustment. Okay.
All right, we're done.
And we're good. Okay.
Right.
But yeah. So what is our topic for this week?
Very good topic, and it was kind of broken down or picked into place by, of course, you yourself.
It was. I was
And
actually
I love it.
D23 this past weekend, which is a Disney Expo that they have down in Anaheim,
Uh-huh.
and they announced a lot of stuff for Marvel. Especially they were pushing hardcore Disney Plus, the subscription that's going to be out. And one of the shows that they were talking about was WandaVision.
Yes.
Which deals with Wanda Maximoff, also Scarlet Witch, and her love interest in the MCU Vision.
That's right.
Who's
Now,
like an Infinity Stone.
exactly. Now, in the comic, of course, Vision and Wanda definitely do get married, but in the MCU, unfortunately, we didn't get to see that happen. So, there's a lot of speculation concerning exactly what's going to happen on the show. You happen to have a very interesting type of theory.
Yeah, it seems like very retro, and it seems like, kind of back in time and lovey-dovey. I don't know a whole lot, but it also kind of seems like this might be a way for Wanda to cope with the death of Vision, and it might all be in her head that this entire series is going to be her dealing with that death. I don't know. It might not be because I don't know how dark Disney is going to
Yeah, we
go
don't know.
into this. Disney is usually a very family-friendly
but
show and
Marvel-
environment, but because it's on the Plus streaming, that would be super interesting because spoilers if you haven't seen Endgame, but
It gets dark. It gets dark. And why wouldn't this be just as much?
Vision don't come back.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it could just be the case. Now, here at Quest for Player 2, what we do, we try to help you guys as far as just the nerd community and discuss relationships, dating, relationships, geek love, in the kind of prayer view of being a geek.
Yeah, and we're flipping the script on how we normally run the show in the last couple weeks. We want to focus on kind of like pop culture relationships, and then we'll kind of segue that into viewer questions.
That's right.
If you ever want to submit questions to us regarding any relationship issues or questions you might have, is it fanquestions at that#show.com?
That's right.
All right, and
Right.
we'll put a little blurb so you can
Oh, definitely.
Find
Yeah,
that.
we'll go ahead and throw that on.
fan
But,
questions
fan-
at that#show.com.
That's right.
Ask us
So,
all the things.
What we're looking to really discuss, I guess, today, just thinking about it with that being the theory, is a great way to discuss, expectations versus reality.
Yeah, based off of this very hypothetical thing that we
Yes.
kind of came up with. Of
I
like,
love it, I love it.
And I feel like one of the best and like the only time that I've seen a split screen in movies that was done so exceptionally well, and I bring this movie up a lot, but it's
Yes!
500 Days of Summer.
Oh my God,
And like,
genius.
I've never seen something
Genius.
so brilliantly done, because like in a lot of film schools they tell you to never do the split screen things. It's
Exactly.
very distracting, it's hard for you to keep up, but they do it in a way that's so kind of profoundly heartbreaking.
Yes.
Even though that guy's kind of a dick, let's be real. Told him what was up and he don't listen. But it is one of those things where this is what we want versus not really being able to see what is really going on.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. I mean, and that's a great way to look at it. So the thing is, when it comes to expectation versus reality, there are a lot of moments or steps within relationships where this comes up. Usually, first one is first date.
I totally agree with you on that one. So kind of going in and seeing that stuff, it's like, depending how first date goes too, when you see someone, you meet them anywhere or you see them online and you see their profile pic and like their little description, you start building up this person
Yes.
probably to be more than you think they are.
Definitely. But then it's also the case of that person building themselves up to be more than what anyone thinks they are.
Yeah.
So,
Because like we talked about it before, that like best foot forward, and we're going to hide some of the flaws that I feel like, you know,
definitely.
we exhibit on an everyday basis. You
Right.
know?
But the thing is, like, with that, it's, I mean, there's catfishing, and then there's, what, hat fishing?
What's a hatfish?
Hatfish is when the guy's always wearing a hat and you never get to see him take it off because he's most likely balding or something.
Oh,
so
got
he puts
it.
on a hat and
Got
it's
it.
like, oh, hatfish.
I know that guy.
And then there's always something where it's like, okay, what's not real, what's not true, what are you hiding? And that's scary, but that's the way it is now when it comes to dating. Why is it so easy for people to just feel like, all right, I can just lie? I mean, clearly there are some things you can't lie about, but people will no matter what.
It's
Like,
true.
you know,
There are some
oh.
people out there that are just perpetual liars.
Sure.
And like, I don't even think they realize that they're lying, you know? Like, I know some people that are like, oh my God, yeah, I really like that show. And I'll bring it up later and they're like, what? I've never seen
I've never
it.
seen
I was
that
like,
show before.
I don't know where I would get this idea unless you told me that specifically. But, you know,
Right.
like, were you trying to impress me? I don't know. It's a weird thing. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the expectations of building someone up or building up a situation of how you want it to go is very different.
Ooh, okay.
I don't
And when you say that, how? How in what ways? Like,
You always
different.
want things to be so good, and we try to make things better than they actually are, where it's like, like for me, one of those things where it's like, oh, outdoors, you know, I think I like a guy who, or a person, girl, whatever, who is an outdoorsy person. You know, and it sounds great. I love trees, like forest always looks cool. I go on Instagram and look at all these like landscapes, and I'm like, yeah, the outdoors is great. But in reality, I'm an urban princess. I like running water. I like sleeping in a bed. And like, so like sometimes you set up these expectations within yourself, like reading it because you want to like that person so much. So there's
Yeah.
expectations within yourself to be like, yeah, I definitely want to be that person. I went camping once like 10 years ago and it
Right.
was all right.
so.
I'm outdoors, right? Does that qualify me as an outdoors person?
Okay, so yeah, so was doing that though. So now by doing that, the expectation versus the reality of who you are is now completely skewed, right?
And how do you live up to that expectations? Because I feel like most of the time the expectations is on the other person. Like, oh, I'm going to build you up to be a better
yeah.
person. You're going to be a great partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, whatever, father, mother. But also that expectation builds within yourself too. Where you're
Yeah,
like,
it
oh,
does.
you know? Like, I want to be that person. I
Yeah.
want to be who you think I am.
Well, see, and in that sense, that's good, right? I mean, isn't that a good thing? 'Cause it's like it's not really it's pushing you to become something better. When they have that expectation, and now it's like it's positively being reinforced, where it's
is,
like it's
but
coming onto you, and you're just like, I want to be this person. So now you start to do these things to become that person because people expect that from you. Like, let's say a guy who just is naturally fit, but not really, really fit. And people say, oh, wow, look at him. You know, oh, man, he works out a lot. Blah, blah, he's fit, blah, blah, blah. He starts to hear that enough. He's like, oh, man, yeah, maybe I am a guy that goes to the gym. Then he starts going to the gym and working out, blah, blah. Now he's maintained it. And now it's positive influence, kind of positive influence.
So what do you get it? So like in 500 Days of Summer, Joseph Gordon-Levitt goes up and he thinks he's going to pull some suave moves, you know? And he wants to be this guy and woo this girl back. And he goes and he's like drinking by himself in the corner being like, no one wants to talk to me. And,
True.
you know, so you have that. But then also when you build up somebody else, like flipping the script, it's like, oh man, you love to work out, you love to do this. And you're like, oh, you're not really what I thought you were. Like you're fit and, you know, it kind of seems like you like to work out. But honestly, you're just naturally blessed with good genes and you don't do any of that.
Or you wear Spanx and I never noticed it.
That's true.
Whatever, either one of the two. But yeah, so then if that does happen, then what do you? Dang. Yeah, then what do you do? Huh.
It's kind of a hard thing. And then I feel like we all have that too, like in the Wanda vision, if this actually pans out to be like, it was all a dream. Then, like, what do you do? Because there's a lot of songs like that too. Like, I remember John Mayer has a song that's called Dreaming with a Broken Heart. And, like, you want that to be so real, and waking up is, like, the hardest part.
Yeah.
And you realize that it's not real. How devastating is it to set up expectations? And is it possible...
Jeez.
to go into, say, a first date or a relationship or whatever it may be without expectations?
How, like, is it possible, you mean? Like,
Yeah. Is it possible? Because you're always going to start the moment you talk to someone, the moment you see someone, even if you're, I don't know, where do you meet people? At a coffee shop or whatever, and
Okay.
you see them, and obviously we are big on stereotypes, and a certain type of person that you're attracted to, you're already building them up to be maybe more than they are. Is that dangerous?
I think so. I mean, because that's dangerous, Will, because it's like, once again, it's not you. It's dangerous just for the future of the relationship, I'll say. That's where it's like, because the more that you show up and it's not really you that's showing up, is the more they're going to, like I say it all the time, that whole mask thing, it's the more they're going to be interested in that. And then finally, when you're like, yeah, this isn't me, and they find out everything, it's like, wait, what? So this was never, oh, well, this is over.
Yeah.
So now it's done. And it's like,
But can you set
it's
expectations and still be won over even if they don't meet it?
There's gonna be one over even if you don't mean it. It can be.
Like,
it
for
can
the
happen.
other person, like, hey, it looks like you work out and you love sports and you do all of this and you're trying to tell me what or maybe I build you up. It's like, I bet you like playing basketball and like do all that, like go swimming and surfing. And it's like, oh, you're a couch potato.
You're a couch potato. You don't do
Oh.
anything.
Interesting. That's not what I thought or what it kind of seems like. Hey, Larry Newville, what's up? Thanks for that super chat for behind the scenes.
Thank you.
$1.99.
Thank you very much.
Like that a lot. But yeah, like, I don't know, we have a lot of stuff. I feel like we should have planned this out a little bit better. We're kind of all over the place because I love talking about this topic.
It's a great
but
one.
yeah, I don't know. It's oh man. So Toku Kid says it's like the Batman problem, where it's like Bruce Wayne, and then you get Batman who's like emo shit.
Well, I
and
mean, yeah,
vigilante.
It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate that way. Oh my God, I love this part though. Like, she makes me feel great. Oh, she's amazing. I love her.
And then
I love
after
this.
it's like, I
love
hate
her
it.
this. I hate this. And then when he goes, I love her right there.
Yeah.
Her crooked teeth, her 1960s haircut, her knobby knees, her cockroach-shaped tattoo, birthmark that looks.
Yeah.
Oh God, I remember that. And it's so funny because, like, what you're pointing out right there, it's a split of expectation versus reality. He expected this type of relationship, this kind of love,
And he wasn't
So-
listening to the signs where she was
Not
like,
at
I'm
all.
not interested in having a long-term relationship. Let's
Yep.
just keep it as it is, like an undefined thing. And when he presses it, tries to put his expectations into reality, like him smack in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my question is there any way to avoid setting too high expectations and being disappointed in real life?
And honestly, I don't.
Or do we all do that?
I tried to go around it so I wouldn't have to answer it. I know it's the third
Yeah.
time we're saying it, and the reason I'm
And
doing
for
it is
those
because
of you in the
I
chat-
don't have an answer.
It's hard
really
because
don't.
I feel like it is hard as human beings. We are just brought up to judge people based off of our prior experiences.
Yeah,
And you could say that's stereotyping,
it's not.
but it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. And I don't know where that line is. And if you guys in the chat have any knowledge or insight on this, if you're in a relationship or not in a relationship, has this ever hit you? Because I feel like it's hit me too, where it's like, oh man, I remember I was super attracted to this musician. I thought it was super cool, and I thought he was super kind of in touch with his feelings and all of this stuff, like to be a musician and to sing, and like the guy was a dick. Like that guy like ran around with a bunch of girls, never wanted to show that he was in a relationship, like would say all this nice stuff, but man was like a total dick. But you think about it, like, hey, not to hate on John Mayer, comic book realtor, but it's like John Mayer comes up as this really sensitive, really nice guy, profound songs that are deep and heartfelt.
Oh,
And then like
boy.
the little bit I see him in like real life when he's doing interviews and stuff, like that guy seems like a dick. I don't know if he is, but his public persona kind of comes off like that.
What does Taylor Swift say?
Yeah. You know,
I mean, she hates everyone now.
but
She
I
hates
love
everyone.
his songs, but it just makes him sound like so deep and
Oh, yeah.
loving
Oh,
and
yeah.
like, and sometimes like he just comes off as major douche.
Yeah. Kind of like, yeah, man, I really have to rethink this because I think you're a horrible person. You're possibly a bro in disguise. You know, it's like it can get that way. But with individuals, also, it's like we said, the whole best foot being put forward. But the thing is that really the case? Because you can literally kind of what am I trying to say? Over a narrative. You can have control over a narrative. And the thing is, when I say a narrative, I mean that whole situation when it's like, oh, okay, this is that foot I'm putting forward. This is what I'm trying to set for your expectations.
Yeah.
So now here they are, but then this person is nothing like what they even tried to project.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, then, okay, this person's lying too. So with John Mayer, for that example, oh, John Mayer's a great guy. I love John Mayer, blah, blah, whatever. But then after that, later you get to see him in person, and you're like, oh, well, God, this guy is a dick.
Yeah, like
But
they
he
say,
put
don't
the
meet your
expectation-
heroes.
Yeah, he put the expectation out.
And then we have-
So it's a lie.
We have Toku Kid who is talking about what we talked about a few weeks ago about Black Cat when she found out Spider-Man, and Peter Parker was like, hey, what's up? I'm going through a hard time and I just want to reveal my identity. It's just like, yo, I like Spider-Man, but not you. I'm a peace out. Go to another country for a while. Go propose to MJ. I'll see you later.
Right, right. I was like, deuces.
But yeah, Whitney also makes a really good thing. Like, yes, there is a way to avoid it. Like, it's hard to avoid expectations, like you said. No matter what, we're human beings. We're gonna set up some sort of expectations of who the person is.
True.
But you also have to know in the back of your head that you have to know that is this what you want, and then you have to try to find it out. Like, is this
True.
truth?
That's true. That's true.
And we're always willing to make compromises where it's like, oh, hey, you don't like that, but maybe you're interested in this, and we can connect on that basis.
It's true. I mean,
it's hard. It's hard. You just have to recognize that sometimes you're going to lie to yourself.
ooh.
I feel like, you're going to set up like any kind of expectations. There is that chance that it is a lie. Like whether you're reflecting it on yourself, like, yeah, I could be an outdoorsy girl. Or maybe that person is like, I don't know, a soft and sensitive person. And you build it up to be maybe more than what it is. And like what Whitney says, like, you just have to find out. Ask questions. Have conversations. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's our answer to everything is just have a conversation about it. And that's the only way you're going to learn. They still could lie to you. Like,
Oh,
you have
that's
no
so
idea.
true. That's very true. I mean, and then what are you going to do? I mean, ultimately, it's just like, well, try to be honest, try to be direct, try to, tell somebody exactly who you are. But then it comes to the question of how much should you share and how much shouldn't you share? Is that kind of like a
I
question
feel
too?
like we kind of said it like in the last time, like, well, on our first date, you don't have to share everything. We don't want your memoirs. Like, the dates are only so long, you don't
Right.
want to.
So moving from the first date and like the first interaction, blah, blah, to an actual established relationship.
Okay.
There are also still problems there with the expectations versus reality.
And
like,
it is.
Like there are people that say like, "Hey, I want you to take care of me, like in this relationship, blah blah yada yada." All right, I said yes, sure, whatever. And then when you start to really get into it, it's like, "Oh, this was much more than I expected." So now it's the reality that becomes daunting. It becomes too much, or it could be the whole thing of, I'm such a domestic. I take care of everything, you know. I clean up the house, blah blah. This is what I expect. This is what I set up for you as an expectation. Then finally, when it happens, it's like, I don't clean shit. I don't do dishes, like that or whatever. And then it's like, whoa, hey, what happened? I thought it was, So it's like putting the best foot forward, but then coming up with making sure you give the lie just to catch this person.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
That
And,
can
like,
be a problem.
Toku was saying, like, what we talked about last week with talking about the boys when Starlight met the Seven in the superheroes, the Amazon series.
Yeah.
Where it's like she idealized these people so much, and when you find out that they're actually all extremely terrible human beings.
broken
Well, I
people.
don't know if they're human beings, but superheroes,
yes,
whatever it is, whatever you want to call them.
They're human beings. Remember, they're
Yeah.
old, but then again, they were.
We don't want to spoil
Okay,
what happens.
yeah,
Like, a
that's
lot of
right,
stuff
I'm sorry.
happens. So yeah, like these people idealize, and it's not good. But I feel like a lot of it too, because there's some people that's like, I'm brutally honest. Some things I know, like once you're in a relationship, I was like, I don't want to have children. Like that's not a path that I would like to take.
True.
And I was actually dating someone before who was like, I'm okay with that. But you know what? Definitely wasn't. I think he wanted
see?
to be okay with it. Like, I think he wanted that so we could be together, and maybe eventually, like, the desire to have children will just diminish and die, or that I would change my mind. And it's like, a couple years into it, it's like, hey, are we
Are we?
You know, like, would you ever like want to have kids? I was like, yo, I told you that was one of the first things that I brought up. I'm a little bit older, so I don't want to feel like I'm wasting anyone's time.
Exactly.
Like, I wouldn't have that conversation at 16. You know, it's like we shouldn't even be talking about that right now.
Yeah,
But
you know what it was when you signed up.
Yeah, and I was just like, what did you expect? And it was kind of like the
Thought I'd sway you.
backtracking, kind of like, you know, you might have changed your mind, or maybe I would have changed my mind. And I'm like, so you a liar?
No. So,
You know?
no, this is the problem there. His expectation was I can sway you.
Yeah.
But in
And-
reality, it was like, no, I
And
told you
all
at the
of
very
it-
beginning you weren't listening to the signs, just like in the movie.
And it's true. So it's like you need to be aware of your own kind of like expectations and learn to just see things clearly for what the situations are. Where it's like if you ever ask, so I'm like, you know, we'd be on a plane and there's this baby screeching. I'm like, oh my God, I can't stand it. So it's like
Right.
that should have been a sign where it's like, hey, you know, I said I didn't want kids, and to reinforce it, here's a little extra. Or it's like, oh, like carrying a friend's baby and it threw up. I was like, oh, here,
yeah, you
take
take it back,
Oh
right,
God,
right.
like I don't know how to cope with this. What made you think that I would be a great mother? I feel like I would be terrible.
Ooh, comic realtor with a question.
Okay.
When do you realize you have to change your reality? That can be good and bad,
Yeah.
honestly. And the whole
I feel
question
like
of-
everyone's developing too, and like year to year, you're not necessarily the same person. Like the ideas and thoughts and beliefs I had when I was a teenager weren't the same as in my early 20s, and is not the same in my 30s now. So
Yeah, it can be completely different.
there are some things that stay true along, you know, my entire lifetime, but there are other things where it's like you grow and you learn and you kind of soften or harden on certain issues.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, truthfully, you should know if or when you change something that counts as your reality. For some people, the reality is their beliefs. Religious, socio-political, blah, blah,
Yeah.
whatever like that. For other people, the reality can be something as simple as, these are the type of shoes I wear. This is how I set up my bed. I need to live in this area or city.
Yeah.
It depends. And what is your reality is going to be something that should be very important or pinnacle to you. And the thing is, I always have to say, like, when you think about it that way, your reality is you, and you is the love that you are choosing to give. Remember that your love is a gift, and with that being the case, I had this written down just in case, don't waste it on those who want a gift receipt.
Ooh, some more Danielisms
Yep.
on this week of
Yep.
Quest for Player
Yep.
2. I do like that.
Yeah, because it's like, don't do that. Don't be like, all right, yeah, you know, I love you and I'm willing to change, and that means I'm changing my reality. So now I'm becoming something completely different just for you. And this person's like, oh, thanks. So I have some other things I would like you to change too. And whoa, you give
And
me
pretty
a
soon you
list?
just lose yourself.
Lose who you are.
But there are some people who are the ultimate givers and willing to do that. Like I've seen them
True.
and they like change depending on who they date or who they want to impress. And I feel like it's genuine within themselves.
That's a good one.
Like they want to be that person.
True.
It kind of seems wishy-washy on the personality though, that, you know, one set of years are like this and another set of
Some
years
years
are kind
you're
of
like
like
that.
that. And it's like, you know, but people can change. They do change if they really want to.
True. I mean, like we always say, like, you know, you ultimately you're gonna vibe with your tribe, no matter what it is. So that's how you're really gonna get that connection. And if you don't feel that connection from jump when you are who you are, if you start to see that, oh, now there is a connection, or it feels like that, it's a false sense of security. It's not real. And the thing is, it's you changing. So ultimately, you may not be you. Now, it doesn't mean that that's always the case.
Yeah.
Like you said, sometimes it can be something small that you change, or something that you're like, you know what? Take the time to think about it, and yeah, that isn't me. It's not my reality. It's not what I believe. You just change.
Yeah,
can
and I
happen.
feel like, and sometimes you want to believe the best in yourself, where it's like, I want to be the better person, and you may try. Like, there are times where it's like, I want to be better, I want to do this, I want to like this, and I want to be like that person, and it's like the person you want me to be, and it's like, sometimes you just can't.
Ooh.
And when that happens, when you realize that, it's like time for a conversation. But man, yeah, Toku Kid, what does he say? I actually like that.
What about when you expect little from someone, but learn they are much better than what you thought?
Ideal situation.
Exactly.
That's
Who does
ideal.
not want that?
That's
oh
an
my
ideal
God.
situation.
I thought so little of you, and I thought you couldn't do anything. All of a sudden, you're doing everything. Time for me to sit back, because this is looking great. I mean, it's one of the best things ever. Versus somebody who, like, you know, you're thinking a lot of, and then you find out there's nothing happening.
Yeah,
at all.
that disappointment usually hits fast and hard, but like the building up of like, wow, that's
Oh, yeah.
that's really interesting. Oh, you're really cool. Oh my God, I really like that about you. I feel like that is the best possible situation, unless you thought so little of them, you were like really rude and demeaning to that person, and then you find out they're way better than you thought, and like that rift already started, you know.
Yep. It's like, why did I ruin this? Well, I'll tell you why, or at least I'll tell you how. You know, it's one of those. You effed up.
But yeah, kind of like what Neil was saying, it's like if you keep changing yourself for others, and no one will take you seriously in the long run.
That's
and I feel
true.
like that's true too. And like, you know what I was saying before, like after a long relationship, after breaking up, I cut ties, because it's like you really need to rediscover who you are as a person, because like when you date someone long enough, your personalities start to meld. Like you do compromise, and it's like
mesh.
and to rediscover yourself is always extremely interesting at the end of a relationship, whether it be amicable or not.
True.
You know, I
Very
feel
true.
like you kind of need that little bit of time.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, when it comes to expectations and reality, more than anything, it's like we always say, honesty.
Yeah.
Honesty is the best policy. Be yourself. You don't have to share too much. Also, on that level, sharing too much.
What we got?
What is the one thing that even in a real, like you've been in a relationship for a very long time, that you feel, you know, I don't have to share?
That's a good
I
question.
don't have to. Like, I don't have to volunteer it.
The bathroom.
If someone asks something, then, you know, but what do you not have to volunteer?
I mean, our producer kind of just said it, where it's just like, you know, I just had explosive diarrhea. You know, like, do they need to know? It's like they probably already know, but I mean, I don't feel like you necessarily need to announce it unless it's like I'm super dehydrated and I've had it for 3 days. Please take me to the hospital. That's something you should share.
Yeah, that.
Or you know, I don't know, like,
boy.
or like, hey.
Wow.
Jamie Glover, what's up? Haven't seen you in a quick minute. The reality is we're afraid of seeing the inner truth of human beings, and I feel like that is super profound, and I think that is absolutely true.
Damn,
Which
that's
is
a
why
good
we
one.
want to hide stuff from others, is because we want people to believe the best in us, and we always want to believe the best in others, and that inner truth can be super dark.
See, but the thing is also with that, when you think, oh, science fact, your personality changes over the course of 7-year cycles.
Is that true?
Well, see, there's... you can't say it's true science. There
I
are
feel like that's
therapists-
not real
No.
science. Is
There are
it?
therapists that believe this about the 7-year cycle where you do change, and they have a title for like each cycle. It's something. It's really true. 7 years, you'll kind of see that socially, people do change. Indeed, you'll think about fashion choices. 7 years from what you were wearing to 7 years of what you are wearing, you'll be like, oh dang, yeah, I do see that difference. 7 years of that, then you'll see it again in clothing. Also, along with clothing, socially they're changing. 7 years, the friends that you had 7 years ago probably aren't even the same exact ones.
That's true, because from
Things like that
14
change. Yep.
to 21 is a big difference. From 21 to 28 is a big
Yep.
difference. And then, you know,
Yeah, but
I'll let
on.
you know when I hit that next 7-year mark. But,
And that's
yeah.
it. Yeah, and your cells in your body do change every 7 years. 7 is supposed to be the number of perfection or something like that.
Interesting.
So, yeah. But yeah, so it's very true. The cycle thing is something that people do go into. But you touched it on the head. Know something that I was thinking about earlier when he's like, the reality is we are afraid of seeing the inner truth of human beings. That is something where people say. Well, honestly, it's what they say in the imposter syndrome.
Okay.
Now, the imposter syndrome itself is something where it's like, because you're worried about being found out as an imposter, even though
Yes.
you're doing well.
Yes.
It's not like you are literally an imposter, but you're just freaked out that it's like, oh my God, the real me is not good enough. The real me isn't good at all. Toku, damn. Josh does lie. He said Daniel was really funny. Oh, nice, Toku. Nice, Toku. It's like how I said Toku was talented.
Wow.
So,
If you ever get a chance to check out our Patreon at Cosmic Protectors, you can see some of the animation that Toku Kid is doing for
It
our
is.
Cosmic
It's
Protector
really good.
motion comic.
Really
it is
good.
phenomenal. If you get a chance, please like our pictures. Please
Oh, yeah.
follow us.
Oh,
Tell your
yeah.
friends to follow us. We are trying to build a following for the comic
Definitely.
that's being released. So,
yeah, you can become a patron.
a patron.
A patron.
Patreon.
Patron.
Patreon. I now
Potpourri?
only want to say Patreon and like
Potpourri!
now-
Potpourri!
Patron is like a very difficult word for me to say now. It's a long conversation that we had earlier. It has nothing to do with this show. We're sorry we're even bringing it in.
So,
But-
once again, imposter syndrome, or aka fraud syndrome, is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Now, this is kind of like a small little bit
Okay.
of diagram that breaks it down. And there are different types of imposters. Thank you. All right. Making something look easy, and then after that, discounting its value. Like, oh, okay, that looked easy. So immediately in your head, you have the negative part where it's like, because I made it look easy, that means it probably is easy, which means my job really doesn't mean anything. Like, blah, blah. So it's like, it doesn't have any value. And in between, that's the imposter syndrome. It's that thought or worry that people are going to say what you do. It doesn't matter. Like, okay, Joe interviews celebrities, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh my God. Oh, that's great. But you see how Joe does the interviews? Like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then someone would say, "Oh wow, you make it look so easy." The discounting the value is somebody saying, "Yeah, you're just having a conversation about something that you just saw." Pretty much what you're doing is a book report with somebody who's in the book.
Yeah.
Boom! All of a sudden now they're discounting the value of what he does, and his worry is that someday everyone will think that exact way. That's the imposter syndrome. And they can freak you out because that's what you're thinking is going to happen all the time. Now the thing is with us as
Sorry, I'm
people,
looking at, I don't know how to speak. You would
Ella
be
said
surprised to
Patron.
learn that I was actually an English teacher, and that like now being so far out of the game, I don't words good. I don't
words good,
syntax good. I don't. Yeah.
you use the wrong
Patron?
syllable on the
Yeah.
incorrect.
It had the wrong emphasis.
Emphasis on the incorrect syllable.
Yeah. Patron.
Patron.
Please become one of our patrons
Yeah.
on Patreon.
Yeah,
Let me
patronize
try to, let me try to articulate that a little bit better.
There
You know, it's difficult. Words are difficult, man. But sorry.
It's mostly because of self-esteem issues. When in love, it can make it worse. Oh, well, that's true. Self-esteem.
It does. I mean,
People
it
do
could
freak
bring it out
at that.
and does bring out those insecurities. So the imposter kind of relating it back to like, what's the thing you would never tell anyone? So does that deal with those kind of insecurities?
Ooh,
Like-
yeah, I feel so.
And that's where the imposter syndrome starts to develop, I'm guessing. So like,
Well,
what is one thing
in a
that you would
relationship.
never tell in a relationship?
No, I wouldn't. There isn't anything I would never tell.
Yeah.
It's just something I wouldn't
Bring up.
volunteer.
Yeah, and I
one
feel like
thing
there's a lot of stuff like
I
that.
wouldn't- yeah, I mean, but one thing I would definitely never volunteer is my body count.
Oh,
How many
gotcha.
people I've had sex with? I'm not just gonna immediately. Hey,
At
I've
first,
had
I
sex
thought
with
how
this
many people you murdered. I'm like, you should never reveal that,
exactly.
especially on like live
Yeah,
live streaming.
On live
How
streaming,
the
Daniel.
police just
Don't
come
do
on
that,
in.
Daniel. Don't,
call it a body
please.
count.
Yeah, that's what people call it. That's what the kids,
just
young
on the
people
belt.
call it now.
Oh, okay. I
Notches on the belt.
notches on the belt is also how many people
God.
you murdered. So
Ah.
you know, I don't know.
right,
But
anyway.
Daniel didn't murder anybody,
Exactly.
but apparently.
So, but that's the thing I don't. That's the one thing. That's the one thing I don't. They do. They murder the room. All right. So with that, I mean,
Nice.
thinking about that that's something I would not want to share. Just immediately, like, yeah, blah, blah, because one is bragging, and two, it's just like, you don't know how that person's going to take it, and blah, blah, etc. But if they're ready for it, and they're like, hey, so many people you slept with. Oh, okay, I'll tell. I'll share immediately. But I don't want to volunteer that information.
I get you.
It's boundaries,
Yeah, I feel like
Words.
there's just some things like you don't necessarily need to know. Like it's one of those things of like along those lines. It's like, how long was your ex's dick? I don't fucking
I
know.
don't
Like,
know.
I don't think
Yeah.
that's information
Right.
I should just bring up out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm not just gonna run out. Yeah, I'm not gonna immediately just like, so my ex's penis was, like
Yeah.
compare your arm, they're like, well, I'm just gonna leave now.
Like,
yeah,
why
like
would
that
you
gif-
just volunteer this information? There was
that
no.
gif with Jordan Peele where he's just sweating and he's just, it's literally that gif where you're like, oh wow, so my ex's penis was blah blah blah, and they're like, what do you think about that? I'm not gonna answer that question anymore.
It's like
you
those
know?
memes that it's like no one, and then the
Yes,
response
yes.
where it's like nobody asked. But yeah, so I get what you're saying, and like how like things that maybe you don't necessarily want to reveal. But I feel like being honest that if you really want to know, oh my god, I'm
There it is.
that's
That
really
is.
good.
They're like, so with that being given out, how large are you? And that's where the face comes in. And
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
It can happen.
But yeah, kind of going back to that imposter syndrome. So I feel like that does kind of come up. And the only
yeah.
way that can affect you is if you have kind of an insecurity about it to begin with. Because if anyone
think
comes
so.
up and like tries to knock down your confidence a peg or two, and only if you care about maybe who they are,
True.
what they say, and if it's a soft spot,
Ooh.
where that will manifest itself, or if multiple people tell you.
But then there's also the question of what we do every day. Like, there it is right there, the imposter syndrome itself. Because every once in a while, we do tend to tell a lie, maybe a white lie, maybe this, blah, 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 blah. But with that, we ourselves happen to be imposters. And it's like a question of, well, what type of imposter are you?
Okay.
You know, are you?
So what do we have? So we have, it looks like 5 types of imposters.
Yes. Type 1, the perfectionist. You know, the person that's always trying to make everything look perfect. So like their whole life is always great.
Yeah.
Nothing's wrong with them, and so you know, it's like how people are on Instagram, but this is how they are in their everyday life.
Got it.
You know, so
Got
that's
it.
a perfectionist. You got the expert, the person that's, oh, I always happen to know everything. If there's not one thing I don't know. Trust
Got
me,
it.
I can talk about this for days. The soloist, person that's like, I'll do this myself. You know, just they don't want anyone to do anything because they're afraid that someone else will mess it up.
Got it. Got it.
So the soloist.
Got it.
But then again, that is very close to them not trusting or thinking someone's competent. But then that's also very close to like the Superwoman or Superman. The person that's like, once again, I have to do everything. It's not even I have to do it because I don't think you're competent. It's just I have to do everything.
Yeah.
It's always on me. The world is on my shoulders. And then, of course, you have the great mind. The person that's always judging themselves. No matter what happens, even if it's easy, even if it's simple to do, even after the job or task is done, they're always judging themselves.
What if you fall into all of these categories?
Because funny thing is,
Like,
these
I
categories
feel like
that
all of these
they
are so
do happen.
closely related.
Yes,
They're
and these are
extremely
things
closely related.
that everyone has shown like that type in some way or another.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It just depends on where. And I think it's more of where your expertise lies. That's where you happen to become one of these imposter types. But the problem is that when you choose to be this one particular imposter type all of your life, that's where the problem comes in. The amalgamation is what everyone does. That's what we do. We put our best foot forward. So we always want to be in charge. We want to make sure that everything works well, and we feel that we're the expert to do it. So ultimately, we'll do it perfect. I just went through all 3. Just right there. That's exactly how that works. But then you have the people that are like, this is just exactly what they do, and nothing else happens.
Interesting. So it's kind of like, as Jody would say, like, yeah, Shay's a real person, but the lie is that he's human.
Okay, that can
like
work.
that.
That can work.
Imposter syndrome. He's really a bot that just posts random stuff.
Post random stuff,
Yeah.
yeah. Like people.
It's
don't
like an
know that-
algorithm. He's like, I heard these keywords, and now here we go.
Shay, well, that's the thing. Shay himself actually is a computer program created by Toku Kid.
Yes.
That's it. No one knows that, and we've been working on this for a long time.
And obviously, Toku Kid has a lot of refining to do with his Shay bot. But
Yeah, but
you know,
hey, I mean, you tell
this is
me.
the beginnings of it, so you know.
You tell me that Shay bot isn't working like almost 100%, because I think it is. Shay's a real person. The Shay bot. I just want to see that.
Yeah.
Like, if we can do that as the thing. Where it's
Also,
like, watch
if
out,
you
the
guys
Shay
could
bot.
convince Shay to change his handle name to Touche, I think that would be
Oh,
great.
that is so
we talked about that.
genius!
So, like, if you could try to convince him, because right now it's like THS Who's Shay, and it's like that.
That joke's gone. Touche will last forever. That's
And, like, the
almost
number
as good
two-
that is almost as good as a name for social media as Vogon Poetry Slam.
Yes, and
Because
if you want to
that
follow
is one of the
either of
dopest
our,
names.
if you want to follow either our producers on this show,
That's right.
Those are the 2 you could check out. I don't know how to spell either, but
You can,
if you want to go to THS Illuminati, you could go
you
through
can
followers
follow
and find
us.
them.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, you'll find them. You'll find them. You guys are already probably following what it is. Shay failed the Turing test. The Turing test. You know about Turing
Yeah.
test, right? Yeah.
Alan Turing
that
and the
makes
whole-
sense.
yeah.
That makes sense. I would never create something as despicable as the Shay bot. I may have made Moomin Rider, but never get close to the Shay bot. Okay, I mean, it's understandable. Ultron is Ultron no matter where he is. So I think we've like really broken down everything when it comes to just expectations versus reality, and how it's on both sides. How it can be the person that's setting an expectation. It can also be
Yourself setting your own
Exactly.
expectations, and it does get really confusing. But like, kind of what I think through this conversation, we realized it took us a while to get to this point, but we realized that there is no way to avoid setting up any sort of expectations.
That's true.
You know, like, you may want to lower the bar, you try to do that, because I'm going to be real and kind of put this objectively, like, Star Wars movie is going to come out, the last of the saga is going to come out at the end of this year, and I do have expectations for it, even though I'm trying to tell myself, like, yo, JJ has a lot of stuff to fix. There's a lot of issues and storylines and things that he's going to need to wrap up an entire Skywalker saga. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. So trying to be honest with myself, even though like I went to D23, saw some content, and I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. There was this new lightsaber, and I was immediately like, oh my god, this is so cool, and I love it, the music, and seeing them fighting on a cliff, and I'm like, oh, how is this gonna go?
The one that Ray had?
Yeah, like the switchblade?
Yeah! Like, oh my god, I was like, dude, she's coming here to fuck some shit up! It was so good.
I mean, that, but also because it's red, and we know the associations with red lightsabers in this particular world, and, you know, I wanted to be hyped, but also realizing, like, taking a step back, realizing where this is going to fall into everything, how much work this movie is going to need to do to meet my expectations, kind of brings me back to reality. So I will always have these expectations, but trying to keep in mind as much as possible, you know, with human brains and how they work, and trying to meet that in the middle somewhere.
To have that medium right there.
Yeah.
And that makes sense because when you really do think about it, like you try to break that whole thing down and you look at it and you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe that's it. We all make expectations. Like I expected Spider-Man to stay in the MCU. I expected Young Justice outsiders. You missed a letter. You're an idiot. Outsiders to be good, or expected Daniel to be funny. Oh man, jeez, I was hilarious just correcting you.
Why does Luke have googly eyes? Like I don't know what that gift is.
I don't know why.
I would like.
But now I'm looking at it like his mouth would go.
But when pupil is smaller than the other,
he kind of looks like Sylvester Stallone when he does that mouth thing, like no, Adrian, and it just googly eyes.
But also now I want giant googly eyes to wear around.
Yes.
Affix them to some glasses and be
just
like,
walk around like, hey,
yeah,
guys,
I really want to get giant googly eyes now.
I would.
that.
I'd go for it.
But yeah, so we did kind of hammer down the expectations reality. Like, obviously,
yeah.
every time we talk about, like, kind of issues like this, there's no clear-cut answer. But it's just, like, knowing that you can set expectations and being able to take a step back and trying to ground yourself in reality, I feel like is what we've been trying to say. And,
Yes.
you know, not
That's very
everything
true.
is going to be perfect. No one's going to live up to expectations. Maybe they do. Sometimes they'll, like, subvert and exceed expectations.
which is
And
great.
that's always a great thing. But you have to be perceptive to what reality is.
Oh, yeah.
Try to be as objective as you can, especially when it's in relationships, because those rose-colored glasses, they'll blind you from a lot of things.
Exactly. You won't see any red flags
Yeah.
because everything looks red.
Yeah.
So, kind of watch out. Exactly it. I agree. And from there, I think we need to move on just to answering fan questions.
All right, so what do we got this week?
Well, we have a really long one. It's called Brainwasher.
Interesting.
So, this one says, recently my boo loaned one of his childhood friends money, and the dude ghosted him. He was so upset about it and physically distraught by it, he went to a dark place. It made him ask, why do people always take advantage of him, and questioning his self-worth in the eyes of his friends and family. I couldn't take it anymore, so I told him to go see the therapist and figure out why he feels the need to please everyone in his life. He's been in therapy for a few months, and I can tell he's happier and more focused on him and his happiness. However, now he doesn't want to do a lot of the cute gestures that made me fall in even deeper in love with him. He no longer makes sure there are fresh towels and a clean pair of socks when I come home from a business trip because I have to shower once I get home from a trip. I just do. When I come home from a drunken night out with the girls, he doesn't have my drunken food necessity, Whataburger, waiting for me anymore. Have you had Whataburger?
I have never had a Whataburger.
That's all right. It
No.
sounds like amazing. I don't know. I mean, I'm so sorry that he has to have that waiting for you. It sucks. I always share my Uber ride status with him so he knows when I am on my way, so it makes it easier for that. He doesn't leave me a He doesn't leave me a pre-roll when he has the work on Saturdays and I am home alone. I am literally getting the bare minimum, and now I am not feeling it. When I asked him what caused the change of behavior, he said his therapist told him that people should love him or who he is and not what he does for them. While I agree, I do a lot for him, so the actions and gestures are mutual. How do I tell him he needs to go to his old ways with me or he can start fucking his therapist?
That is actually an incredibly, like, I mean, that last part is kind of funny. I know that part's a joke.
Dear
but
God.
it's like, it is one of those things, especially since we've been talking about the expectations versus reality. We were talking about imposter syndrome. Has this guy actually been lying? And, like, I think people want me to do nice things for them, so I will live up to that expectation.
Right.
And realizing now it's like, yo, I don't want to do any of that. It actually drains me. It's not something I want to do. I've only done it because people expected it.
Ooh, that is true.
Like, so is he coming to that realization, his reality, his truth about who he is, and it's like, I don't want to do that, so I won't anymore. But also, like, that is difficult, and I totally understand where this person that wrote the question is coming from, because it's like, encourages them to, like, go to the therapist.
Yeah.
Obviously got ripped off by a childhood friend and got ghosted, and that's terrible. And when you are an ultimate giver, people will take advantage of you.
Definitely.
And that's hard, because in a relationship too, especially if this person is reciprocating, like, all these nice gestures, you know, it does feel like you don't do anything nice for me anymore.
Yeah.
Like, all the things that I loved and the reasons why, like, I appreciate you and respect you is because you showed that you appreciate and respected me. Because it's one thing saying, like, yeah, I love you, but it's another thing showing. Like, when you're in writing, you have to show, not tell.
That's right.
You
That's
know.
right.
So, that is difficult. What kind of advice would you have for this? This is kind of one of our harder. Not a
Girl,
clear-cut
I would
question.
break up with. No, I'm playing. Honestly, no,
he's
I
a
wouldn't
good
say that.
guy.
I
He's a
wouldn't
good
say that.
guy.
He's a great guy. And honestly, the truth is, I would just have that conversation. Look, I have become accustomed to a particular way of being treated. I need you to continue treating me this way because I didn't do anything wrong. That was your funky ass friend who didn't fucking pay you. I understand the therapist is right, but the therapist also forgot to tell you that happy wife means happy life. So you fucking take care of me. But you don't say it that way. You just say it a little bit differently. But honestly, though, it's like, hey, you know what? I do things for you. I still want you to do things for me.
And I would start
As long as I'm
small.
not taking advantage of you, I think we're still doing good.
And I feel like that conversation needs to start small. Like, that was a long list of things that you really appreciated that he did for you.
Sure.
Which one is the most important? The one that makes you feel the most loved?
Oh, that's true.
And then
is it the pre-roll? Because I bet like because if I walk home and a pre-roll,
Damn, that just
and
eliminates
then-
all your other problems,
but
right?
then after the pre-roll, then I also do expect my Whataburger because I'm gonna be hungry after.
No, but the person was also saying when they come back from a business trip, they get the Whataburger.
Baby, I can walk in from the business trip, have the pre-roll, and then it doesn't work that way. She didn't say it.
Yeah. But I would pick one thing and be like, hey, I really miss when you used to do that for me. And, like, not all the other things, and just see the react. Because he already says, like, yeah, like, I don't have to do that. My therapist says that I don't have to be the ultimate giver anymore. And just be
True.
like, it really made me feel loved. And it's like,
Ooh.
I miss that, and it's one of the things I really appreciated about you. And just see what he would say. And be like, well, I don't want to do that no more. Be like, I don't want to give you no more head.
There you go. Yeah, like, oh, okay, great. Well, these are the things I'm taking away. Yeah, he'll change his tune, especially if one of them is head.
I wouldn't put it into an ultimatum thing
No,
like
no,
that,
no,
but you
true,
know, like
true.
that. We joke
Don't be
around
petty
a lot.
and tick for
yeah.
tat. Honestly, just like you
And
said.
this is the purveyor of petty, so you take his advice with a little grain of
Grain
salt.
of salt, and then,
you
you
know?
know, always listen to Elle in the end. That's pretty much what you have to do, because I'll say some stupid shit, and then Elle will be like, what he's trying to say, or what he should be saying is, you know, and then you guys get it. But, no, honestly, Elle is right. Have that conversation, talk to him, let him know, hey, and don't give him a landslide. One thing men do hate, no matter what happens, is a list of things we aren't doing or a list of things that are making you upset that we do, because that feels like we are being attacked. Men do not like that. Yes, we do like to fix things. Men pretty much walk around with that proverbial tool belt around their waist, always ready to fix something. You know, oh, your girl comes home from work and she's like, oh, you know what Marsha did today, blah, blah, blah. You hear the whole story, but the whole time you're thinking in your head, after she's done, oh, okay, well, I think you should talk to her next time you're at the copy machine and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, that wasn't the fucking point. I just wanted to tell you that I fucking hate that bitch. You know, you're like, oh, okay.
There's a difference between venting and seeking out advice.
Yes.
So, and I had to learn that too, where I was just like, that's why I'm on this show. I want to give advice. And sometimes people just want to rant. And I'm like, I wasn't asking. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll just sit here and listen. That's cool. That's cool.
See? So that's it. I mean, just, you have to know what to do. So go ahead and, like she said, don't say everything at once. Kind of start with the one thing that's probably the biggest thing and the most important thing. Say that, see how he reacts. Most likely, sounds like a great guy. Think like they'll be fine.
And put it on you. Fine. Don't put it on him of like, hey, you stop doing this stuff for me. I don't care what your therapist, so it's just be like, I really miss when you used to do this one thing for me. Like, it really made me, after a long business trip and I didn't get to see you, it showed that, you really love me. And if there's something that I could do, if you ever want, like, like if I bring back trinkets from like my trip or whatever, it's like, I don't know if you really like them, but I just wanted you to know that I was thinking about you when we were gone for like, X amount of days or whatever. And it's like, it just showed me that you actually miss me versus telling me on the phone that like, hey babe, I miss you.
Exactly. See,
let's start small, and then don't put them like one a day.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't even do it one a week. Like if you pick the business trip one, you got to wait till like a couple business trips and then maybe introduce a new one.
Yeah. Very true.
And then maybe do that, and then also tell him like, hey, if he wants to do something generous for someone else, and if you think objectively like that's a terrible idea, like your childhood friend and ask for like $5,000, I'd be like, maybe. Like, you can, if that person is super close, but even just, like, a written contract saying, like, hey, I'm going to pay it back this much at amount of time, so it kind of makes the other person more responsible for their actions.
Exactly.
The people around him that might be taking advantage of him, and just maybe be, like, kind of reinforce what the therapist says, so that way you show that you're on his side, and be like, the next time someone does that, like, or be like, I'll hunt them down for you, babe, I'm going to go find them out. Just show that, like,
I'm your Shylock. Just handle it. That's good.
Yeah, or even like a contractor. I don't know how else like he might be taking advantage of from other people, and just be like.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds just like honey rather than instead of vinegar, right? That's how you're gonna have to approach it. And with that, I think we fixed some people's lives today, and I think we can end the episode.
Yeah, I hope it helps. Let us know, because this was like an incredibly complex question, so I would love to see how it works out, because obviously you guys love each other. He's a good, caring person, and I feel like when you're in a relationship, like he was willing to give, and obviously the therapist, like he's kind of doing a 180 with everything, and just be like, it was a big shock to me, and I appreciate that, but, and I want you to find your own kind of independence and your own, like, not being like the super giver, and be like, but I also want to give back to you, so if you let me know ways that make you feel loved, I would be willing to do that as well. And I feel like he's probably more willing to like bring out your socks and get you some Whataburger and get that pre-roll all set up for you.
It's a change of, and I think that's what it is also, it's a change of her love language.
Yeah.
Her love language most likely is gifts and kind of like actions. Now, with no actions, where's the love? So
or be like, if you're not going to show those actions, like you need to show me that you love me in other ways, like write me some poems or write me, I don't know, something I don't know, because even the stuff he does is kind of like a little bit easy, like laying out socks. I'm like, you just go in the drawer and throw them on the bed.
Socks, towels, blah, blah. I'm telling you, I think that's her thing. I think her love language is just one of those where it's just
and
like,
it wasn't anything like monetary. It wasn't like buy me lockets, buy me shoes, buy me jewelry. It was just small little things, like a note, like a post-it note, be like, hey babe, and like you can reciprocate that too, of like, oh hey, I made you lunch today. I know that you always make lunch for everybody, or you buy lunch for them. Like, I just wanted to show that I'm going to do this for you for today.
That's what I'm talking about.
So hopefully it'll work out. And
and write to us. We want to know exactly what happened. We want to know your approach, because you were very detailed. So I want to know your approach. I want to know what happened.
Oh.
I want to know what happened. So, I would just kind of give us the info and kind of let us know exactly what was the deal. We'd appreciate it, and we're hoping to hear some good level of progress.
Oh, Thomas Franco, we did get your question. We didn't have time to get to it today, but next Tuesday we'll definitely get to it. We talked so long at the beginning now.
Yeah, we're sorry, but definitely we will.
We
answer
did get
your
it.
question.
We will get it next Tuesday for sure.
Yes.
And if it's like an emergency, we could probably type something out to you, like
definitely.
an email, and then we can read about it online next week if that's okay.
Okay, cool. That sounds great. So, Elle, where can everybody find you?
I am only now on Cosmic Protectors because I can only focus on one social media at a time, and I don't have like can't balance anything. So yeah, Cosmic Protectors, check it out. Tell your friends to check it out. Please like all the pictures. Please follow us. Tell everyone to follow us.
Yeah, and if you want to know a little bit more about Cosmic Protectors, head over to patreon.com/Cosmic Protectors. You'll be able to see everything that's happening there, what we're offering to people for different levels of the Patreon, and how you can be involved with Cosmic Protectors yourself. So that's a great thing to do. For myself, you can find me Battlestar Galactica, but mostly I'm on THS_Illuminati. So maybe that's where you should go.
All right. And until next Tuesday, yeah, I guess we'll see you then. You could like, comment, share, and subscribe to stay up to date with everything trending
In geek pop culture.
I didn't see whatever skit.